All right, we know that a government shutdown was narrowly avoided, but there were still disagreements among Democrats on President Biden's agenda. Congressman Ed Case joining us live now from Washington, D.C. Good morning to you, Congressman.
Good morning. Aloha from Capitol Hill.
I know it's been a very busy week for all of you out there. I want to start off by talking about that infrastructure bill, that $1 trillion one. I know late last night the vote was delayed. I wanted to ask you, will there be a vote today, and will you support this bill?
I completely support this bill. That's been my #1 focus for months now. This is a bill that would be the largest infrastructure investment in our country's history. It would generate about 2 million jobs throughout our country. It means about $2 billion to Hawaii and thousands of jobs. It has already passed the Senate. It just needs one vote in the House to go to the president. It's wildly popular throughout the country because of the size of the investment and because it's an example of Congress being able to do its job. And so my full commitment has been to getting that vote on that bill. As to your question, I don't know as I sit here. I just came out of a caucus meeting, a long and difficult one, to be honest, that there's different views on whether to proceed today or not. I said in caucus we needed to proceed and vote on it today.
You say that this bill is popular. So what is the delay? Why does this keep happening?
Well, some people out there in the country want to link this bill to another bill. They don't want this bill to pass, at least until the other bill passes or looks to have a good chance at passage, the so-called reconciliation bill. And they're holding this up. And I've said for months that I think that's exactly the wrong strategy on a number of fronts. I think it's the wrong approach for the country. I think we need to get this infrastructure money out into the country. And I'd love to get it to Hawaii to create those jobs and boost our crumbling infrastructure. And this is also about climate change. There's tremendous amounts of money in here for climate resiliency, for responses to climate change in Hawaii. And so I have not been on the same page with them.
Congressman, I just want to be really clear about this. You support that $1 trillion infrastructure bill. You've been very clear on that. Now, the second larger bill, that $3.5 trillion Build Back Better bill, that is something that you have been reportedly hesitant on. Now, is that true?
Well, I haven't been hesitant on passing a reconciliation bill. That's not true. There's a lot of misinformation about that out there. I've always said that I supported a reconciliation bill with many, many very positive programs in it that I support and that I think a majority of my constituents and the country support. But, I'm focused here in Congress on the practicalities of what you can actually pass in Congress. Very, very slim majorities in both the House and the Senate. The other party is not going to help at all on reconciliation. And so you've got to find the sweet spot where you can actually get everybody on the same page to pass reconciliation. I happen to believe, and I think that everything that's happening today proves me out, and I've felt this way for a long time, that it's unrealistic to talk at a $3.5 trillion figure, whatever you might want. And so I'm trying to get that bill done, but I think we've got to get real about what it's going to take to get it done. And I do not want to wait around on the $1 trillion reconciliation until we figure out the other bill.
So basically, to boil this down, your concern is that you don't want to link these two gigantic bills together. You want to get that $1 trillion passed by itself, correct?
Correct. I don't want to link them. And I think that, by the way, the delay on the $1 trillion infrastructure bill has actually hurt its chances of passage. And so I've also been concerned that delay and linkage will risk the first one, which is ready to go.
So the ad campaign that we've been talking about, Our Hawaii Action, is behind this. Now, you're saying that there's no truth to this ad campaign?
Well, they disagree with me on linkage, so let's start there. They're clearly attacking me on the basis of my belief that we should pass the bipartisan $1 trillion bill now. They clearly feel that we should not do that, and they're frankly trying to leverage that against $3.5 trillion, which, as I already said, is unrealistic. I'm trying to get them both done. So I don't, they can disagree with me on that. We do disagree. What I object to is very, very specific misleading statements in their ad campaign that do not reflect my record at all. So that's a different matter to me. And as a matter of fact, they've already had to retract some of what they put in their ad campaign because I pointed out to them it was incorrect. For example, They claim that I would not be, willing to rescind the Trump tax cuts in order to pay for some of reconciliation. I mean, that's patently false, and I pointed it out to them, and they pulled that. And there's other stuff in the ad. So, hey, I can take somebody disagreeing with me, but I'm going to call it out if they're disagreeing with me unfairly or, frankly, deliberately misleading the people out there. For example, they say that I'm against, good paying union jobs. Well, I think I just spoke at some length to the fact that the infrastructure bill that I want to pass now would specifically increase the number of jobs throughout Hawaii to include union jobs. So there's a lot of spin in the ad campaign, and I got to call it out.
So in talking about that $3.5 trillion plan, the second bill that we were talking about, I wanted to ask you about Senator Manchin's proposal. He says that he has a top ceiling of $1.5 trillion. He wants to bring it from 3.5 to 1.5. Is that something that you see being more palatable and being more able to pass through Congress?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that the sweet spot where we actually can pass something through Congress is not 3.5 trillion. And I say that whether you agree with it or not. And I also, I think we have to face the realities that it's going to take everybody in Congress to pass this bill. I mean, otherwise we can just, kind of yell and scream at each other for another number of months, but I'm into getting things done. And so what is the reality in Congress? Senator Manchin has said 1.5 trillion. Personally, I think that's too low. Personally, I think we'll probably end up agreeing somewhere between there and 3.5 trillion. But you've got to get the job done at some point. And that's what I'm very impatient about. I want to get the job done.
Well, we want to see you get the job done while you're on Capitol Hill, but we know it's been a very busy week. Congressman, we appreciate your time here on Sunrise today.
Thank you so much.